My name is Angela Sadlier, and I'm an LNA here at Redstone Villa in St. Albans, Vermont. LNA stands for Licensed Nursing Assistant. I help people with bathing, feeding, and toileting, just basically everyday, day-to-day needs.
My name's Anita Mason, and I have been Director of Nurses here for 13 years. It's a skilled nursing facility, which means we do rehabilitation and long-term care. I met Angela through Monica Berner. She, is head of the job employment program. She called me and said she had someone that she wanted to shadow our LNAs. And so we had a meeting. We had her come along, and then after her period of 6 weeks, she did a really great job, and we decided to hire her.
Monica and I work as a team. I'm the counselor, so people first come to Voc Rehab and they meet with me. And part of my role is to decide if somebody is ready to really take some steps towards employment, whether it's a job shadow or an informational interview or a work search. And when they are at that place and they know what they want to do, I introduce them to Monica. And her role is?
My role is to introduce youth to the world of work. So anything that is employment related is something that the employment staff with Weber does. So we do the informational interviews, the job shadows, company tours, work-based learning experiences, on-the-job trainings, and of course competitive hires.
So when we first met Angela, she hadn't really worked before. She was a quieter, more timid person. And I think that the ability for her to really grow in the role of a worker, she's been much more independent. She started working, she passed her nursing licensing test to be an LNA. She bought a car. Her role has changed a little bit with her family in terms of she was always sort of taken care of by her family, and now the role has changed a little bit. She's much more independent, and she's sort of more able to help out her family now, which is a big change for a young person as they transition into being a young adult. And I think that's probably the most significant thing. You can see the confidence that she has, wisdom, she's a very kind person. It's a perfect job for her. So I think that's probably the biggest change that we've seen from when she was first met us. She was kind of reserved and quiet, and now she's very independent. She's clearly part of the staff here. It's nice to see.
In general, I love what I do. I never thought I would, but I love it. I like that I'm helping somebody less fortunate than myself, that they can't clean themselves or even brush their own teeth. It makes me feel good that I'm helping somebody who can't really help themselves. And it just makes me want to come into work every day. My mother's a nurse, and I wanted to be a nurse as well. I had a general idea that I wanted to work in healthcare, but I had a hard time figuring out how to get into the healthcare field. And Monica helped me out getting set up for classes and help financially paying for the class. I found out about this job when I was first doing a work experience, because I needed some work experience to get a job. And she said a night position was available. And I jumped at the opportunity, and I'm here. I had an interview with Anita, and I took the opportunity, and I leaped at the chance to get a job. I was desperate, and the opportunity was knocking, and I took the opportunity, and I'm here.
The team approach that we have in our office is that really the counselors are the ones that are getting to know our consumers, kind of understanding what their strengths are, what their maybe where their barriers are about. And once we kind of come up with an employment plan, it's really about making that referral to the employment consultant to kind of go out and look for employment. One of the great tools we have is progressive employment in terms of working with employers in the community. And we're able to actually open doors with employers with this tool by kind of bringing consumers to them who have some type of a disability, barrier to employment. And before we had progressive employment, employers might have been kind of reticent to kind of use our services, but because we have this tool where we can actually have somebody job shadow or do a work experience. They get to kind of know the consumer. They get to experience what it's like to work with somebody with a disability. In a lot of cases, what they find out is that they're no different than any of the other people they have working for them. And employers in a lot of cases are learning, that this isn't a big deal and that these are some of the best employees that they have.
Angela's experience since she's been here, she's worked here for 3 years. She started out, of course, quiet and, had some, little concerns as everybody does, with coming into a new role. She started working with the staff. They worked with her, to make her comfortable. Through the years, she has grown. She was an LNA that, didn't have a lot of skills or knowledge except from training and taking the LNA program, and since then she's become one of my top aides. She knows what she needs to do when she comes in the door. She takes care of the resident. She knows the routine. She even trains other LNAs, new LNAs that are starting at the facility. So she's really grown, immensely the few years she's been here. So.
I think one of the key things for employment staff to make relationships work with employers is really, to come to them in a lot of cases just really under promising and over delivering around their consumers and their strengths and abilities. I mean, a lot of our employers are really looking for somebody that is going to show up. They're going to be there. They're going to have a good attitude. They're going to interact with other employees. In a lot of cases, they're going to get the training that they need on the job. And the fact that we can just use progressive employment as a way to get them in is a way that the employer's going to experience them. They're going to be able to kind of show that they have those soft skills, and they're going to be able to get that training down the road if they need it for that specific position, because the employers are going to be bought in. And so employment consultants, have that tool. They can have the confidence that they're able to kind of have that relationship with the employer and work that with them, progressive employment, to get that placement. Just in terms of encouraging other places that maybe don't have the experience with progressive employment, just in my region alone, I've seen outcomes increase every year that we've been using this approach. And it's really been about 10% a year. In fact, this year we're probably up 20% in terms of our rehabs. And if we do some of the data we've actually run on this program, in my region, we show that for people who actually get progressive employment, any kind of a job shadow or work experience on the job training, they actually end up at a rehab 10% higher than people who don't get that tool applied to them. So I'm a big believer in it, and actually push staff to kind of use the tool, because our outcomes are higher because we do.
Business account managers, what we do is we're more of a mentor, is the way I can describe it. We're more like I guess if I could describe it, I would describe it as somebody who, almost like a helicopter, just hovers and just kind of guides people and leads the employment team when they come to us and say, I've got a consumer who's struggling, or a consumer who wants to work as a cashier, or wants to work as an LPN. I might help guide them and direct them to employers who might be able to help them. And that's what we do. We're more of a mentor, I guess is the best way to describe it. And business account managers help create the business. We go to businesses, we explain to them what we do, how we work with people with barriers to employment or disabilities of all sorts. And then we introduce our employment staff to the businesses, and we don't own the businesses per se. We just kind of get them started, and sometimes the employment consultants also get businesses started. It's all about teamwork is the only way we could describe it. We're a huge, massive team. My personal team, I'd say we have maybe 20, 25 different employment consultants working with different agencies, all working together. It has to be about all good job matches. So that's why we have to be aware of what the labor market is, what our businesses are looking for. It's all about good job matches. So you can't just say, Ben & Jerry's need somebody to operate machines. We need to know what they need to do, what they need to wear, what the requirements are. what is the lifting? Is it bending, lifting, twisting? You need to know what's going on with the labor market and what organizations need so we can do better job matches. You know, what shifts are, what transportation's needed. Is a high school diploma needed? Do they do drug tests? And then as we get to know them, then we can work our way in and do all sorts of placements. And we're as honest with them as we can be, because just because they need somebody next week, we would love that to happen, but that's not always our reality. Now, we're very often, sometimes I'll get somebody and they'll say, I need somebody next week, and I'll have somebody right there, and I'll let the team know, and I'll pass word out my team, and they'll have somebody perfectly ready next week, but that doesn't always happen. I'll let the employer know, I don't know if I have anybody. And if our team doesn't, I'll put it out all over the place to help them try to find somebody next week. But if we can't, I will let the employer know. And they appreciate that. And they'll wait 2 or 3 weeks, if need be, until we get that perfect person. Because we want a good job match. We're all about that. We have team meetings once a week. Ours happens to be every single Monday morning from 8:30 to 9:30. We discuss what a business needs. We've discussed what we've done this week as a team, who we've seen, who we haven't seen. We've discussed any struggles we've had, any problems we've had or haven't had, any successes we've had. So we're so on top of everything, we almost know what's going on with each other. At the same time, keeping HIPAA rules, confidentiality up as well. So it's all about teamwork and just constantly staying open to each other and what each other's needs are.